So in this video, we're going to be looking at chat prompt templates. Chat prompt templates. In the previous video, we looked at string prompt templates that allows us to send a single message, just a single instruction to a language model, and we can format it with dynamic variables. Here, we're going to be looking at chat prompt templates, and this is the most powerful prompt template. This is one of the most powerful prompt templates in LangChain, and a prompt template that you really need to understand very well in order to get the best out of prompt templates, because it mirrors how we actually communicate with language models today. That's the very powerful state-of-the-art language models like the GPTs, the Geminis, and the Claudes. So, unlike string prompt templates, chat prompt templates take an array of messages. They take an array of messages because they try to simulate a conversational style when it comes to prompting. It simulates a conversational style. In their most basic form, they can actually just take a single message. Yeah, they can take a single message in their most basic form. But their power, their versatility is much more experienced when you have more than one message, when you want to send more than one message. For example, you want to send instructions as system messages. You can have it in your chat prompt template. You can have it as a message in your chat prompt template. You want to send examples. In a few short scenarios. You can have it in a chat prompt template. And after your system instructions and also your examples, you can send your final prompt, which is the actual task you want the model to perform for you. So let's look at chat prompt templates. Let's look at how they're structured and how they operate. Pick up a pen here. So we have a chat prompt template. And like I said, they take an array of messages. But one thing you have to understand about these messages, this array of messages, is that it has to be in a particular order. There's a strict order that it needs to follow. So, like I said, you can have a single user message. You can just have a user message in your chat prompt template. So, you can have a user message around here. Let's say user message. And you just send this to your model. You send it to your LLM. Let's say the LLM is like a brain. You can send it to your LLM, and your LLM can generate a response for you. Now, if you need an instruction that needs to carry on throughout the chat session, you can send a system message. You can send a system message. Now, a system message has to come before any other type of message. A system message needs to come before any other type of message because it's an instruction. It's an instruction before the chat session begins. This and this and this should be done throughout the chat session. And the model tells you, great. So, you can send a system message. A system message needs to come before a user message. Now, before your main user message, you can also send a bunch of example messages. You can send a bunch of example conversation. Example conversations they come as a pair. Example conversations come as a pair. What you're trying to give an example of is a prompt response cycle, a conversation between you and the model. So you feel that, okay, for this prompt, you need to send the model some examples. Like if I tell you 1, you tell me, you reply in French. If I tell you 2, you reply in French. That's a back and forth conversation. So it comes in pairs, the prompt and the response. Another pair, the prompt and the response. A third pair, a prompt and the response. So it has to examples always have to come in pairs, the prompt and the response. The prompt is going to be a user message. That the prompt is an example. Let's call this example. So the user message and the response is going to come as an AI message. User message, AI message. That is the example pair. That's the example pair. So if you need examples within your prompt, they need to come before your final message, your final user message, which is the actual task you want to ask the LLM. So in between that, you're going to have a bunch of user messages, AI message. For another example, you have another user message. You have an AI message. Then finally, you have a user message. So each example, this is an example pair. There's the example 2. This is another example pair. Example 1. This is a system instruction. And this is the final prompt. This is the final, or actual prompt. Final actual prompt. So you have one instruction which always has to come first. If you need examples, you put them here in between your system instructions and your main prompt. You put them as pairs: user message, AI message, user message, AI message. Then finally, you have your, let me erase this last line. Yeah, so you have system message, user message, AI message. That's the first example. User message, AI message, second example. Then user message is the final prompt, is the actual prompt you want to send to the model. So this is the order. This is the order for system messages, examples, and user the final prompt in a chat prompt template. But everything up here is optional. Everything here is optional. They are all optional. The only important thing is the user message. Also, you can have your series of examples without a system message. You can have examples first and then your final prompt. You can ditch the system message. Or you can just have a system message and your final prompt. So that's the order. That's the order that chat prompt templates expect. But like I said, things are easier to understand when you see them in a demo. So let us look at the demo. Just going to flip to VS Code. Let's close out on the last example. Let's see if my command line up, but let's clear it up. And let's create a new file and call it chat prompt templates.py. Chat prompt templates.py. Great. Now, like I said, to begin working with templates, you have to get them from the LangChain core prompts module. So the LangChain core package, the prompts module, you get your template classes from there. So start by saying from LangChain core, from the prompts module, import. Now we are going to import our chat prompt template class, which is called chat prompt template. Chat prompt template. So we import our chat prompt template class and we can use it to create our prompt template. So the first thing I'm going to create is my messages. I'm going to create my messages. Like I said, it takes a list of messages. It takes an array of messages or a list of messages. So first I'm going to create our messages. And for this, most especially to show you the beauty of that shorthand method, I'm going to be using the shorthand method. So to begin, I'm going to just create a system message and a user message. Let's create one system message and one user message. So here we'll say system. And the system message is going to be that I want my model to give me straightforward answers. I don't want verbals, I don't want stories, I don't want straightforward answers. No, I don't want too many details. So I'll say you are a helpful assistant that gives straightforward answers. You're a helpful assistant that gives straightforward answers. So that's my system message. And next, I want to actually tell it what to do, what I want it to do. And that is going to go in a user message. And for this user message, I'm just going to tell it who is the president of France. Who is the president of France? Who is the president of France? So these are my messages. And together they make up my prompt. But I need to use them in my chat prompt template. So to create a new chat prompt template, I'm going to say chat prompt. All you need to do is create a new instance and pass in your messages. Create a new instance of your chat prompt template class and pass in your messages. So once you have that in place, we can then print out this template. We can print out this template. We can invoke it, then print out the prompt that we get from it. So I'm just going to say print chat prompt dot invoke. Chat prompt dot invoke. I'm just going to give invoke that dictionary so that it doesn't scream at us. That empty dictionary. We don't have dynamic variables yet, but we're going to have one soon. Let me fix straightforward. Yeah, straightforward. Yeah, that's a T. So we imported our chat prompt template class from LangChain core prompts. Then we created an array of messages. Here we just want a system message and a human message. And our system message says you are a helpful assistant that gives straightforward answers, because I want my model to just give me straightforward answers. If I ask you for the president of France, just tell me his name. Don't tell me his life history, his age, his family. Don't tell me all those stuff. So yeah, we added our human message, which asks the direct question, who is the president of France? Then we create our chat prompt simply by passing our messages into our chat prompt template class. Then we invoke the prompt template. We invoke the prompt templates to get our prompt. So for the sake of understanding, let me do this. So I'll call this chat prompt template. So yeah, so that we know that this is a template. Then I will now say chat prompt. So chat prompt will be the invocation of chat prompt template. Yeah. So chat prompt will be the invocation of chat prompt template. We can then take this chat prompt and print it. Yeah, can then print our chat prompt. So this gives us a template. Invoking it gives us the prompt. So let's run this file by saying Python chat prompt template.py. Then hit enter. And yep, we get our prompt template. We get our prompt rather. We get our prompt. It has a bunch of messages. And as you can see, even though we use a shorthand, it's using the classes to tell us that we have a system message that says you are a helpful assistant that gives straightforward answers. And it also has a human message that says, who is the president of France? Yeah. Yeah. You see, even though we use the shorthand, it's converted them to standard messages. So yeah, this is how you create a chat prompt template. And in this example, we've been able to use a system message and a human message. So what happens if we want to add an example? To this, following the order that I described earlier. So let's add an example. Let's say we want to give it an example that just tells it how we really want our answers to be. So what I'm going to do, let's put this down a little bit so that I can have more space. What I'm going to do is I'm going to convert this with the president of France to an example. So we have a human message, then it will be followed by an AI message. And this will simply say Emmanuel Macron. I'm actually using this as an example because I know this president. So, so yeah, the president of France is Emmanuel Macron as of this date, March 2025. Then I can follow that up with my actual prompt, which is also a human message, and then ask it for the president of Spain. Even though I know Spain has a prime minister, not the president. So I'll just say, who's the president of Spain? And leave it to figure it out. So what have I done here? Here I have four messages. One is the system message, which is going to tell it to always answer me in a straightforward way. But then I'm adding an example. This is an example pair. I'm adding an example pair. Like I said, an example pair is always made up of a human message and an AI response. So the human message says, who is the president of France? And the AI response just replies, Emmanuel Macron. So in your examples, you give the standard answer. You give the right answer. So, but I also made it straightforward. It just said Emmanuel Macron, and that's all. Then I then added a last message, which is my actual prompt, that asks it for the president of Spain. And here I've only added one example pair. I can add three if I want. I can add three. If you feel, yeah, you need the model to really get it, and probably you have three variations of how it might look like, even though it is still in the same principle, but you just want to give it 3 examples to cover all bases, you can give it up to 3, you can give it up to 5, as much as you want. So we have examples here now. Now let's save this and see what let's see what we get. Pull back the command line up. Oh no. I'm not in the command line yet. Let's click into the command line, clear it. Now let's run the command once again. Now, as you can see, I have one system message, a human message, and an AI message, which are my example pair. And I have a final human message, which is my actual prompt. So I've been able to construct a prompt structure that has a system message, that's an example, and it also has a final prompt. How cool is that? So we've seen that the last thing we're going to be looking at in this example is how we can also use dynamic variables in chat prompt templates. Yeah, you can also use dynamic variables in chat prompt templates. Like, for sure, there are templates. You can use dynamic variables in all of them. So let's say we want to, at runtime, add a dynamic variable for the example country. In our example, we want to add some dynamic variables. So I'll say example country. Yeah. Example country. And for this, we also want to be able to add the answer dynamically. So here I can say example answer. Example answer. So we have example country, example answer. We have introduced variables into our examples or our example messages. For our main prompt also, we want to make the country dynamic. So that you can pass any country at runtime for it to tell you who the president of the country is. Oh, I think I missed an off here. So president of country. Yeah. So example country, example answer. And yeah, we can then come here and inside invoke, we now need to pass in those parameters. We owe you some parameters now, so we need to pass them in. So the first is going to be example country. Let's copy that, paste it. So example country, let's just say France again. Or no, let's say the US. Yeah, United States. Then for our next variable, that will be the example answer. As of today, March 2025, the president of the United States is Donald Trump. So we pass that in, not Trump. Then for the country of the president in our actual prompt, the country variable that we owe it, we say France. So we have this in, we've passed them in as dynamic parameters. Now let's print it out. Yeah, let's print it out. Let's clear this command line. Let's run the file once again. So yeah, just like before, we have our system message, we have our example pair with a human message and an AI message, and finally we have a human message. Now, I don't know whether it's just me. I would like to see this in a cleaner way. This is all LangChain, trying to describe the different messages and their structure and all that. But to just see how it would flow going into a language model. I think there's a toString. Yeah, there's a toString representation of this. So I'm just going to call toString. Yeah, just going to call toString on the prompt. That should give us the string representation, I believe. So let's clear this. Run once again. And boom. Yep. This is a lot better. So much better. So we have a system message. Says you're a helpful assistant that gives straightforward answers. Then followed by a human message, a human AI message pair, which is our example. So say, who is the president of the United States? Donald Trump. Then finally, the human message says, who is the president of France? Who is the president of France? So yeah, this gives us a better way to kind of visualize how our prompt is finally generated. So yeah, that's chat prompt templates.